Hey everyone, so in this video I am going to show you how I put a clamp on my tube, because these tubes right here don't come with clamps. So what I do is so if you've had a Mickey button in the past, or you know of one that has had a Mickey button, try to get a box of these every month or two, 3 at the most. And actually, how many are in here? Hold on. I don't know exactly how many fit in here technically. Doesn't say. Anyways, but these are extension tubes. So if you have a button and the button does you no good without these. So if you have these, you have the button, you put this tube onto the button, and then you can push meds, you can connect your feeds and everything with your feeding tube. So, but what I use these for, since I don't need the button anymore, and we've got an entire crate full of these, is I open this up. Now these are the Enfit ones. After this box is gone, I'm going to go back to the old just push connection ones, because these ones are like a screw. You have to connect them just like you do into the just like the end of the feed bags have that purple Enfit connector. If you have the red connector, that's just the push connection, and that's when you hope it doesn't come apart, because it has come apart many times on us in the past before switching over to Enfit. We switched over to Enfit I think in 2012 or 2015, if I'm not mistaken. So, but you just rip it open, and again, this I'm showing this because I'm putting an extra one in my backpack so it's ready to go. As of right now, we are not using these style tubes in my ostomy bag. We were for a long time because we didn't have the Mickey buttons, but we're currently only using these in my J tube and only using the Mickey buttons in my G tube. So, and I may run downstairs and grab one here in a minute, I don't know. But you just take a pair of ordinary scissors, take this, cut it. Some scissors work better than others. Take that clamp. Now I'm not going to open this one. I just went and got the kit so that way you could take a look at it, or the tube. I already have one out of the packaging that was in my backpack for a while. I need to use this one up soon. But we're going to do a test on it. Now, an important thing when you're doing this is I use hemostats, and I'll show you why here in a minute. But when you use the hemostats, and again you'll see here in a minute, when you use the hemostats to clamp here, now I'm intentionally not clamping on the tube right now. When you use the hemostats to clamp, you only get one shot. If you clamp this twice, so like let's say, for example, you took this flange off, because you have to take it off to put the clamp on. But with this flange, if you take it off, and you'll see here in a minute when I do it, when you take it off and you put it onto the hemostat, then you put it onto the hemostat, you put it as low on the hemostat as you can, you open it up, you grab the tube. Again, I'm not grabbing it tight right now, and you'll see how tight I grab it in a minute. Then you take the flange, you pull the flange onto the tube again, and this will be on there until the tube is thrown away and out of service. But if you were to accidentally put this on upside down, so the flat part is towards the balloon, and the part that is kind of fat is towards the ports where you put the syringe into. So if you accidentally got it reversed and the fat part was towards the balloon and the flat part was towards the syringe ports, or feed ports, or whatever you want to call it, if there is a med and a feed, it doesn't matter which one you use, it goes into the same hole. When one wears out, I use the other one. And typically, by the time the one wears out, the whole tube's done. And I'll explain more about that in a minute too. So, with this flange, you only get one shot clamping this, otherwise the balloon will bust, either inside you, or it will bust, it'll bust in two ways inside you. It'll bust upon inflation, or like inflating the balloon, or it will bust within a few days. And I've had that happen both ways. And there's also a third way it can bust, is when you're filling up the water into the balloon to check to see if it the balloon is filled on both sides, and I'll explain more about that in a minute. Then the balloon will also bust at that point. It'll bust one of the three times, either when you're checking the balloon for it to be inflated permanently until you take the tube out to throw it away, or take it out for some procedure or for some reason. So either bust outside of you by when you're checking it, it'll bust inside you upon inflating the balloon, or it will bust within a few days, maybe a week. So, but let's get down to it. So you'll take it off just like that. It comes off real easy. The way I used to have to do this is push it through here, and that took me about 45 minutes. I'm not doing that today. I'm not doing that anytime on video because it takes a lot of extra time and I don't want to do that. So you make sure the hemostats are locked in the third position. So what I mean by that, there's 1, 2, 3 clicks. Lock it into the third click and give it a little extra squeeze. Then you take this. Now the importance of this is the flat part, you want to be towards the very tip of the hemostat. This part you want to be towards the loops where you put your fingers, towards the handle portion. If you put it the other way, when you go to clamp the tube, you will put it on like this, and then it'll be upside down. This will irritate your hole, possibly make it open more, and then the balloon will just pop out. And you cannot, my doctor says I cannot inflate this more than 4 mLs. But you just take it, you push it on, almost down to the hinge, just enough so you can get it open. Set that down. Take the clamp, and you're gonna open the clamp like that. You're gonna stick it through the tube. Now, what does matter here is when it is in the closed position, you want this tab right up here. You want this tab uphill, upstream from the flange. You do not want this pointing down like that, because if you point it down like that, you can do it either way, but the point is that little tab, I'm just used to having it this way. It's easier. Someone may want to push on this side. It doesn't matter. It's my personal preference. This is the way I do it, so I'm going to instruct you this way. And then if you or your doctor decide that you want to do it a different way, you're more than welcome to. Nobody has recommended this to me. I came up with this all on my own from what I can remember. But you just open it up and you stick it through. So you'll see it has 1 hole, 2 hole, and a part in between that is the clamp portion that cuts off the flow of meds, formula, which is feed, or water, which is flush. Water is typically in a 60 ml, and formula is in a feed bag. But anyways, you take it, you put it through the holes, just like so. Take the hemostats with the flange. Remember, you only get 1 shot at this. So then I typically squeeze it right here. You squeeze it pretty snug, and I may bust the balloon on this because I clamped it twice, but I had it backwards. So you want, I misspoke earlier. you want the flat part towards the handles, and the round stubby part towards here, towards the tip of the hemostat for this purpose. Okay? So now, clamp it, and you just pull it right on. You release the clamp, the hemostat, set the hemostat down, that you're done with that. You don't need it anymore. Now, with the syringe, it doesn't matter if you get air in this or not. I prefer not to. It won't hurt or kill you. But you'll just take and prime this out to 4. I do 4.1 or 4.2. It won't matter that much because this, there's a channel in here that it has to travel through, and that channel has air in it now, and that 4.1 or 4.2 will fill up with water, and that'll burp the air out of it, and you'll see that. So you just take it. Now, important, when you go to fill it, do not clamp this. If you clamp it, you will not get any flow off it. I'll demonstrate that just so you can see. You can see that I cannot get anything through. So if you clamp this, not only does it stop anything from coming through these 2 ports, it will also stop or inhibit any flow coming through to the balloon. But anyway, so it's unclamped. Take this and you'll push that, and that is a perfect looking balloon. That's exactly what you want. You want it perfectly symmetrical, even all the way around the balloon. If you do not have it all the way around, and for example, it's off to one side like this, it will cause you extreme pain, it'll cause your intestines to bleed, and it will make you sick, like you need to vomit sometimes. Not always, but I had this happen to me about a week or 2 ago. Probably more like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So try to keep. Now, when I inserted that tube that was causing me extreme pain, I put it in. It was pretty close to this. It was not exactly like this. This is a picture perfect balloon. Typically, or when I put this in, it was pretty close to perfect all the way around. Then when we pulled it out to check it, it was all the way onto one side only. Don't know what caused that. May have been my intestines, may have been the balloon from the manufacturer. I don't know. We don't know what caused it. I'm not pointing fingers. I'm just saying that can happen. Okay? So now, to get the air out. Now I sanitize the counter, so it's fine if it's on the counter, it's clean. To get the air out of the balloon and only have water in there, you'll take as much of the water out as you can. You'll burp the air out, and you'll do this 2, 3, 4 times until you get all that air out. And you don't have to do this, but 1, I find it cool, and 2, no air inside you is best, but if you get air inside you, it's not going to kill you. In an IV, this is enteral feeding. You have IV feedings, which is called TPN. This is not IV use. It even says right here on the front of the package, not for IV use, and do not reuse, which I don't reuse these, and a whole bunch of other warnings. So this is only to go into a giant hole in your abdomen, which is what most people refer to as their stomach. So, like when someone says, "Oh, I got punched in the stomach," you got punched in your abdomen. You didn't get punched. You may have gotten punched in your stomach, but typically you just got punched in your abdomen. But as you can see, we're a little bit below 4. I'm just going to do this a few more times. Make sure, and you can see it dripped out a little bit. That's fine. But let's take a look at it real quick. See. There's a little air bubble in there. That's not gonna kill you. You're fine. Any air in an IV will kill you, but in this, you're fine. I know I'm repeating myself, but nobody needs to panic over it in terms of the air bubble. See if I can get any more air out, or is this it? Again, this is not necessary. It's just something I do every now and then. And that's pretty perfect. I'm just going to leave it like that. Now I'm going to unflate it. I'm going to check it with 4 mLs of water this time, with very little to no air. And then I'm going to put it back in its little Ziploc baggie, and I'm going to call it a day. That's perfect. We're good to go. So now I'll just undo it. Make sure I got all the water out of the balloon, which I have. I'm not going to clamp this. It will weaken the tube. If you pre-stage them, meaning put the clamp on and have it in your backpack or something, so if it gets ripped out, it gets dirty, like if it falls on the road, I will not put it back in. I don't care how well you can sterilize it. Do not put it back in. So if it falls on the road, the dirt, something, I need to replace it. I have this, and I can pre-fill this with water, but all the water in terms of through this, not through the balloon. I've already pre-primed it with water in the balloon. I could pre-prime this whole tube with water. It would just leak out in the bag unless I had it clamped. Again, I'm not going to clamp it because it's going to weaken the tube. It already is weak enough when you're using it. I'm not going to weaken it. I'm not going to pre-weaken it, I should say. So, but I'm just going to take this. Now again, this bag looks dirty. It looks worn. It is worn, meaning it is used, but it's only been used for this, and it's not dirty, it's still clean. The outside's dirty, the inside's clean. So, but I'm just going to take it, zip it back up, stick it back in my backpack. Now, in my backpack, I still have 2 of these sealed, and if I'm not mistaken, yes, they are sterile. I don't know if you can see that or not, but they are sterile. So I'm just going to zip it up to that point, take it, roll it, just like that. Make sure I get all the air out, seal it, make sure it's sealed on both ends, because both ends were a little bit open. Fold it in half, stick it back in my backpack. So, but that is all I have for